Good morning once again, and you're welcome to my class on literature and English. This current series or today's episode is a continuation of what we started on the survey of English literature. We are still on the journey of trying to understand how literature became an established and complete subject for the English. Today, we are going to look at one of the tales that were told by the pilgrims, or I prefer to call them characters in Canterbury Tales. So, like I mentioned in one of our classes, Geoffrey Chaucer became a very powerful force in literature today, or he is well known by us today because of how famous his writing, that the Canterbury Tale, became. Now, out of the Canterbury Tale so far, we have looked at some introductory part of the tales, the prologue and the tales itself. We've looked at some of the characters that he introduced to us, and I couldn't take you through all the characters. I mentioned that any character you try to read on that you don't understand, just leave a comment and I'll take it and explain it into details for your understanding. Now, today, I want us to look at a tale told by a very cunning, a very tricky character. Sometimes the best way to know someone is to watch their words and actions. So, I intentionally didn't talk about the manciple because he still reveals virtually everything about him. And we are going to have a detailed discussion of his tale. We'll look at some of the characters that were presented in the tale. We'll look at some of the lessons or the moral lessons that you can learn from the tale. Then eventually we will look at some of the devices that he employed in his tale. Like I mentioned in the introductory lesson, one of the purpose of the pilgrim, like going on the pilgrim to Canterbury, they were supposed to tell four tales in all, two when going, two when coming. But a lot of things happened. So at the end of the day, they couldn't tell all of them. They had 20 completed tales or stories and four uncompleted. Now, before the Manciple told this tale called the Manciple's tale, what happened was that it was the turn of the cook, the infamous cook, to tell a tale. But he was too drunk. Don't forget when I was characterizing the cook, I mentioned the fact that he could distinguish between ales or alcohol wine, the finest wine, which is something that goes against his profession. So he was so drunk from a journey of faith and could not tell a tale. So the manciple was asked to do that and he did. Now if you look on the screen, the introduction part or introductory part of the lesson today is the manciple's tale, a cautionary fable. So I'm going to explain what a fable is. A cautionary fable. Now, the tale was delivered by the manciple in Chaucer's Canterbury Tale. This tale serves as a stark warning about the perils of unrestrained speech. It is a warning to you. It is not everything you see that you say. There are repercussions. There are effects of your actions. If you decide to say anything and everything you see, you are likely going to pay the price for doing that. And you learn from the character that decided to have unrestrained speech and what happened to him. Then its moral underpins medieval societal structures and the wisdom of prudence, of controlling your speech. Now, the narrative focuses on the tragic transformation of Phoebus and his crow. So the two main characters in the Manciple tale are Phoebus, who happens to be the predominant character, the protagonist here, then the crow. I don't know if I should call the crow a villain here because telling Phoebus what he saw his wife did was a way of hurting Phoebus, but and the crow. But we have other characters like the wife who was not given any voice. Then the wife's sex mate who was also not given any voice. Now, in literature, usually when a writer writes a story and introduces certain characters main characters like the wife of Phoebus, whose actions really had impact on the story, but does not give them a voice. Giving them a voice simply means does not allow them to say anything in the story. It basically allows you, the reader, to give such characters a voice. You can judge them anyhow you want to do it. So let's move down to the next slide. Now let's look at the plot summary. That's the summary of the plot of the manciple tale. Now, what I'm going to do is that I wouldn't read the summary on the screen. I'll allow you to do that reading yourself, but I will try to summarize the plot for you. So the manciple tale had a man called Phoebus. So I wrote plot summary, Phoebus' perfect world. Now, that's it on the screen now. Phoebus was a man that had it all. That's why I'm calling his world a perfect one. He had it all. Having it all in this sense simply means that he is handsome, he is artistry, good at playing. We were told that there's no musical instrument that he could not play. Not just play the instrument, but play them perfectly. There was no musical instrument that he could not do that. He was brave, he could slay a python. So this is a man that has everything that any man could wish for. Handsome, very good at singing, very good at playing instrument, very strong and brave. Now, it is also alleged, I'm using allegation, it is also alleged that these qualities that Phoebus possesses are actually the qualities that most women look out for in a man. If even in our 21st century, this was Chaucer's time, the Middle Ages. But even in the 21st century today, if you are a man that is handsome, you attract quite a number of beautiful ladies. And if you're a man that could sing or that is creative, could sing, play instrument, you attract quite a number of beautiful ladies as well. And if you're a man that is brave, strong, you are likely going to attract again. Now, all these predominant characters that women look out for are all found in one character, Phoebus. So that should tell that he should be a hot cake. Now, he has a weakness. But before I mention the weakness, you should know that Phoebus was married. He had a wife and he loved his wife so much. Another twist in the plot, because usually men that have this quality do not love one woman. At least they have a lot of them at their beck and call. So they don't usually stick to one. But he loved his wife very much. One thing that you should take notice of. Now, another thing that you should take notice of is that he is a jealous husband who is overprotective of his wife. That's a weakness and another strange thing, because people of his caliber, who in our world today are few, should not be jealous. Because if you should be jealous, because it's like you are with a man that is wanted by almost everyone. Therefore, you should be able to protect your man from other women. But this is the other way around. The irony here is Phoebus, with all his admirable qualities, with all his creativity, innovation, braveness, or his bravery, is still the one who is jealous here. This is the twist. So he's overprotective of his wife. Then one day he traveled. Now he keeps the wife in the house for fear of the woman being snatched away from him or being snatched from him. So he traveled one day, but there's another part of the story that I'm leaving out. Sorry for that. He had a pet, and this is a crow. Now this crow was white. It's strange, but there's this stories that you come to understand when I talk about some of the types of devices used, where it explains natural phenomenon. It tries to let you understand how or why things that you know today became what they are that you are seeing. So it is alleged here that the crow was actually, we had white crows or white crows. This one was white. It was not just an ordinary pet, but it is a pet that is endowed with human quality. It could speak, it could sing, So Phoebus had it all. He himself is a full package. His wife, beautiful. He had an animal, a bird, a crow that could sing. And it is told that Phoebus taught this crow how to sing. So Phoebus traveled, leaving the crow in his cage and the wife. Now here there is a twist, and it's a very funny aspect. Maybe at the end of the story, the class today, I'll try to let you into it. But let me just mention one. It is said that a cat, if you keep a cat as a pet, you can give it the best milk ever. You can give it the juiciest or the fattest meat ever. When it sees a mice or a mouse, it will run chasing it. Basically, this woman is married to the one of the best men that anybody can be married to in the world, but still had a, a sexual partner, was still cheating on the wife. It depends on where you look at this story from. You could give your own explanation as to why she's still doing that. I wouldn't want to go into that. So when Phoebus traveled, the wife's partner visited her and they had sex. And the crow saw everything. So upon Phoebus' return, this crow with unrestrained speech decided to tell the master what the infidel wife did, the infertility of the wife. So the infidelity of the wife, sorry. So what happened was, now after telling the master what the wife did, the master got furious, and instead of punishing the woman that cheated on him for the love and the pain, he killed the wife and with an arrow. Don't forget I told that he was like very artistry. He was good, skillful in the arrow as well. So he shot the wife with the arrow and killed the woman. Then after a while, he regretted killing his wife. Don't forget he loves this woman very much. He regretted killing his wife and then blamed the crow for being the cause of him killing his wife. So one, he took off all the crow's white feathers. Two, he cursed the crow never to speak again. So if you want to understand why a crow is now black and could not speak, you could use this story as a foundation. So basically, this is the summary of our story. Now let's look at the plot summary. So I just gave the next slide. We introduce us to the plot summary. We have the crow's revelation and ring. So I just mentioned that, so I can read now. The crow's weakness. This articulate crow observes Phoebus' wife in her act of infidelity, a secret that weighs heavily on its human-like conscience. When we talk about human-like conscience, we're talking about a crow, which is an animal having human qualities. So what it did was, it became uncomfortable with what it has seen and decided to reveal it. So the crow, driven by loyalty or a sense of truth, the crow flies to Phoebus and explicitly details his wife's betrayal, leaving no room for doubt. So he didn't just tell the man or the boss that your wife cheated on you. He did it into details. You can imagine hearing someone narrate how your wife cheated on you into details. That would be quite hurting. Phoebus became angry. So, overcome with fury, Phoebus rashly slays his wife. His idealized composure shatters under the weight of the devastating news. So, one of the lessons you could learn from here, even though I look at some moral lessons, is that uh, don't make important decisions about your life when you are angry. When you get angry or angry at something, don't make certain decisions in a rush. You may live to regret it. So, in a fit of remorse, Phoebus turns his wrath on the messenger, that's the crow, stripping the crow of its pure white plumage. The feathers were all gone, beautiful song and human speech, condemning it to a perpetual state of blackness and squawking. So the crow's voice now is so appalling. It's nasty. It's like the right way is appalling. It's not something you want to hear. And the reason for this is basically what I just mentioned to you. Now, that's a good one. So let's look at some character analysis. Now, we are going to first look at the initial innocence. So, beginning as a symbol of purity, it's white. So, we are looking at the crow first, like character analysis of the crow. So, its white feathers in human speech embody an uncorrupted state before its faithful revelation. So, white in most countries means purity. So a white crow basically is telling you about how pure it was, how innocent it was. Now you could see the first picture, we have a crow of two beaks. Now basically I'm looking at transformation. The picture is talking about transformation, moving from one level to another. So the next picture talk about the current crow that we know, the symbol of error, post punishment. So that is the post punished crow. It transforms into a blast squawking bird, a perpetual emblem of the consequences of ill-considered truth-telling. In short, he didn't control, or it couldn't control its tongue. It couldn't control its speech, and therefore got punished for it. Like I mentioned earlier, there are repercussions for whatever you do. Whatever decision you make in this life, be ready to face its repercussions. Then next, we look at loss and silence. Now it has lost its voice, it has lost its human quality or attribute of speech, it has lost its beauty, it has lost its and everything. So you can see in the third picture there's no crow. There's nothing there because the crow we know is gone. The harmony, everything about the beautiful crow is gone. That's sad. Now let's look at character analysis of Phoebus and his wife. I'll concentrate more on Phoebus, even though I have the two on the screen. Now, the idealized yet flawed deity. I'm describing him as a deity because deities are one supreme over humans, and I believe that Phoebus is supreme over any human being because what the individual qualities that we possess, some of us humans, preferably or basically, I may not be part of those people, but that possess this fine attribute, all combined is found in this Phoebus. So that's why I call him a deity. He was presented as a paragon of virtue and skill, yet reveals a deep flaw in his emotional control, unable to control his emotions, exhibits extreme possessiveness and a desire for absolute fidelity from his wife. So he never want to hear the fact that the wife will be attracted to any other man or will cheat on him. He's being possessive of someone simply means that you see the person as something you own. Therefore, you want to always take absolute control of the person. Then his violent outburst and immediate regret highlight the fragility of human composure and the destructive power of uncontrolled passion. If you don't control your passion, this is what will happen. At the end of the day, he lost everything. He lost his wife, he lost his beautiful crow, and he's likely going to lose himself as well. All his artistry, all his enviable qualities will be lost because he's likely going to live his life in perpetual sorrow, mourning, or regret. Now let's look at the wife seeking agency in confinement. There are a lot of funny things that you can say about this, but for the sake of our class and time, let's just go straight to what we have on your screen. Confined to a gilded cage, her action reflects yearning for freedom and autonomy. So being kept in the room, not allowed to go out or anything, is one of the so cheating on the husband is just a way of asking for freedom and autonomy. Autonomy here simply means that let me be on my own, let me make my own decisions, let me decide what I want, let me decide where I want to go to. Now somebody will ask, do you consider her killing as the autonomy and the freedom? Autonomy, no. Freedom, yes. Freedom comes in various form. In literature, we see a lot of things differently. So finally, he is free. He is free from the restraints from her husband. Sorry, he is free from the confinement that he finds. His soul is free. He's gone. So that could be freedom as well. His infidelity, though morally condemned, can be seen as a rebellion against her restrictive existence. Like I said, so I cheat on you, and I know how much you love me. You may not be able to take that pain of knowing that the woman you love and adore so much just cheated on you. So there are two things you do. You let me go, you divorce me, or you kill me. In either ways, I'm free. I'm free from your restrictiveness. represents the universal human desire for agency when faced with oppressive control, even leading to tragic consequences. Here, when people are confined, when people are controlled, oppressive, like they are oppressed, they are made to do things against their wish, they may take very serious actions. Now, let's look at some literary devices that were employed. One, the fable. The use of animals, particularly the crow, to deliver a profound moral lesson on human behavior and consequences. So fable is a story that uses animals as symbols and like as characters in a story. So you could read any story you read, like the famous animal farm uses animals, so that's also a fable. Now another thing about fables is that they usually tell moral lessons. You must learn something from them when you read or listen to them. The next device is irony. The crow, intended as a loyal companion, paradoxically becomes the instrument of its master's tragic downfall through its truth telling. So the irony here is that there are a lot of ironies in this story. I just stated one for the sake of this slide. So we have one irony is that the crow is the master's most trusted companion, someone who keeps him company. And someone who keeps you company should bring you joy, not pain. But by attempting to play or perform its role as a companion, it rather end up bringing the master a lot of pain or tragedy. That is irony. Another irony, Phoebus, the most admirable man, the man of the women, with all the admirable and the enviable characters, could not keep one woman from cheating on him. That's quite ironical. Because if you are the man of the women, every woman will love you because of your attributes. Then this attribute should be able to keep your wife. So you shouldn't be so jealous. You should rather be proud. The woman should be the one jealous. So that's another irony. The third irony is that a woman who is married to a very handsome, intelligent, strong, you can name it, of this kind of man, should not go and sleep with an ordinary man, because if you read the story, they say the man she slept with was a man of no repute, a man of no social standing. So that's another irony. Then we have personification. Obviously, you should know, giving human qualities, human attributes like ability to sing to the crow is personification. And there have been a lot of rhetorical questions. Rhetorical questions are, so these are the personifications on the screen. We have the crow's human attributes, speech, song, and awareness are central to the plot, elevating it beyond a mere animal. Good. Then we have rhetorical question. That is asking questions that do not demand immediate answering. That is it. Then there are a few digressions too. The manciple's lengthy prologue on the importance of controlling one's tongue directly foreshadows and reinforces the tale's core message. Control your tongue. Say less when a nod will do. It means say later when you know that if I nod my head, it's okay. Learn to control your mouth. Learn to control your speech. It's not everything you see that you talk about. Now, there could be another device. We could look at it as a allegory. That's a story that has a surface meaning and a deeper meaning. People pronounce it allegory. Allegory. So allegory or allegory. That could be it. Then people also call it a parable because there are moral lessons that you could learn from that. Thank you. So you have that on your screen now. You could read them. Then let's look at the moral lessons. There are tons of moral lessons that you can learn and they are on the screen. I wouldn't want to go so deep into them. But so I'll mention a few. One, there are consequences for your action. Whatever you do, know that you have to pay the price. When it's time to pay the price, don't be lamenting. Then silent or silence is golden. Say less when a nod will do, like I said earlier. I would prefer to keep quiet than to talk when I know talking could lead me into trouble. So there are quite a number of moral lessons that you could learn from it. And let me mention one or two lessons that are not here. I think that is better. These ones you could read them. One, it's a very controversial lesson. It's a very controversial one. If you disagree with me scholarly. or academically, not with rage or anger. Now, one moral lesson that you could learn is that you cannot keep a woman who doesn't want to stay. You cannot keep a woman who doesn't want to stay, like Phoebe's wife. I will not go into details because of the controversial nature of it. Another moral lesson that you could learn from this one is that, you know, if you read a story and you read about the morals and you read about people's commentary, nobody seems to blame the woman for her infidelity. Nobody seems to do that. Now, it is said that the crime you commit, the name given to your crime is dependent on your social standing. So if a rich woman decides to go and flirt around, it's called having fun. But if a poor one decides to do the same thing, she's called a whore. So that is another lesson you could learn from that. These are quite controversial, by the way. Now, what is the concluding part of this story? The conclusion of this story is very direct, straightforward. Control your tongue, control your speech, control yourself. Don't say everything that you see. There should be a kind of retrospection. You should think back, look at what you have seen, look at the repercussions of revealing it before you go talking. Because if you don't do that, you may suffer the consequences of your action. All right, so that brings us to the end of today's lesson. And I think it has been very heartwarming today to learn about the manciple's tale. Like I said, there are quite a number of tales told, so you could just go on the internet, read. I think that will make our classes very interesting. You can read about the tale told by the non-prowess. You can read about any of these tales. Then if you read anywhere you do not understand or any part of the tale that you have issues with, then you come and leave it in the comment section for me, your teacher, and I'll gladly have a class on it where I'll take you through everything that you need to know about whatever that you've read. In our next lesson, we are moving to another phase of our lesson. We are moving from the Middle Ages. We are done. So we'll go to the Renaissance period. We'll go to literature of the Renaissance period. And I'll take you through what Renaissance is, some of the enviable qualities or factors that influence the Renaissance. Goodbye. See you in our next class. Bye bye.